Neil again. So how do you typically go about planning your trips, estimating mileage per day? Mileage per day, so that's a really good question. Honestly, it depends on where I'm hiking. I mean, I know that, a good day for me personally in the Cascades is anything over 20 miles. However, it's tough to actually estimate how you're going to be feeling on a given day. And so at first I would really try to plan my itineraries based upon what I thought I would feel like. And it's hard because you don't know what you're going to feel like. You don't know what you're going to run into. You might meet someone, you might get off trail with them, or something like that. Like, there's just so many variables that can come up. But for the most part, I like having a backstop, especially if I only have an allotted time off of work or something. Like, I need to know that I need to at least make these miles, so I'll be pretty conservative with them as a backstop. So I know that I'll finish at least by this date and hopefully before, But for the most part, especially if somebody has never gone before, you gotta get out and do it and see how you feel after a certain amount of miles. Like I said, after 20 miles, especially in the Cascades, I mean, that's a good day for me, but my feet are hurting at that point, But in the Sierra Nevada, it's a totally different ball game. And it was something I didn't anticipate. Miles were a lot tougher to come by because of the terrain, because it wasn't just a manicured dirt path like the PCT is in Oregon. It wasn't rolly. It was, even the descents were as difficult as the ascents sometimes. So really, I guess, research the condition of the trail. Is it at elevation? How much rock are you going to be going on? Is there lava rock? That's super slow too, like in the Muir Trail on the western southwest part of it. It's like all lava rock. Super, super tough to get through and takes super tedious amount of time. So condition of the trail is probably the biggest thing that I look for now after coming back from the JMT. Prior to that, I was going off of what I did at my section hikes, but that's all you can really plan off of if that's all you've ever done. How many sets of clothing do you bring? Season specifics would be great. So sets of clothing, I've really pared this actually down quite a bit since the JMT. Okay, so I mean, a couple things is that on the JMT, I used my leggings one time and I used my puffy one time. Otherwise, I was in shorts and my, what the heck do you call it? My Nike fleece the entire time. And I was fine with that. So when I came back from the JMT and did the Timberline Trail, I removed those two pieces of gear because I never used them. And I was fine with it. So I guess to answer that question, again, it depends on what are the, when you check the weather report, what are the lows? What's your tolerance for cold? I have a better tolerance, I think, for cold than I do for heat myself, personally. So I'm okay being cold, especially when that's the other thing. Do you wake up early? Because if you wake up early, it's going to be cold. If you go to bed late, it's going to be cold. But if you're hiking when usually, for the most part, a lot of people do when they get up at 7:30, 8 o'clock and start hiking, it's, the sun's kind of over the ridge by that time and you're getting sun. So it really depends on the season. It depends your hiking style and all that. But generally what I would say is, especially for the most part, if you've never gone before, I would bring this layering system. And so just be shorts, and then I would do some sort of thin leggings. And then I would do like my Columbia Silver Ridge shirt button up, and you can roll up the sleeves if it gets too hot. You can roll them down if you're getting too much sun. You can unbutton it. Super multi-purpose. Really like that. And then get some sort of fleece for a mid layer, and because it doesn't soak up water. So if your down jacket that you're going to bring next, if that gets wet, it's pretty much useless. So your fleece will keep you warm and it doesn't soak a lot of water. And even try this in the wash. It just does not soak up a lot of water. It's crazy. But yeah, so then a down jacket after that. I bring full little like texting gloves, iPhone texting gloves, and then I bring a little cap, super small beanie. That's about it. So that's like a good starting base for what to bring for clothing right there. And then you can pair up or pair down depending on where you're going and what season. So I had Katie on Facebook ask me about the Timberline Trail. She said, how many nights did you camp? Did you carry a hydration bladder or just water bottles? And is it gradual most of the time or like super duper steep? So so I camped 2 nights. I got in at about 2:30 on a Friday and then exited at about 10:30 on Sunday. So I did 2 nights there. And I don't carry a hydration bladder. I just do 2 water bottles, so 2 1-liter water bottles. And I actually had a conversation with her on Facebook about this, and I think it worked out for her. But I just screw my Sawyer in line with my dirty water bottle, and then a hack for that is to put a sports cap from one of the 0.75 liter smart water bottles, put it on that, and then also put it on your regular drinking water bottle, so you don't have to keep screwing off the cap and then drinking. Instead, you can just pop it off and then and squirt it in your mouth. Gradual, so is it gradual most of the time or super duper steep? So so coming back from the JMT, and this may sound very arrogant, but I thought that the Timberline Trail was a walk in the park. I mean, honestly, it was nice manicured trail, barely any rocks, pretty dang well graded. I mean, it was generally pretty easy. And so I think it's the Timberline Trail, if you've done hiking in the Cascades before, it's similar to that. Rachel on Facebook asked, what are your recommendations for stops and campsites on the Timberline Trail? Definitely stop and see Ramona Falls. That's where I camped my first night, and then my second night I camped at Newton Creek. So those are 2 good campsites. So Rachel from Facebook asked, did you have reliable water source the whole time on the Timberline Trail? And so yeah, I did. Especially on the wet, pretty much 75% of the trail there was water everywhere. Especially everything from the north, the west, and the south side. I mean, everything in the southeast side, pretty much everything it was hard not to stumble into water. The only time that there wasn't any water was from the north part, like after Cloud Cap to Newton Creek. There was still some seasonal streams running there, and there was some snow, so you would get by. But that was the only time where there actually wasn't a lot of streams that I saw. Was there any particular stretch a lot harder than the others on the Timberline Trail? Maybe the west and the northwest side into the northeast side. There was a little bit of climbing on the northwest side, and then you start getting into rocks on the northeast side. So I would say maybe there. Peter, this is another Timberline Trail question. What, in your opinion, is the most difficult part of the loop? Which water crossing? So I actually have to read this because I kind of forgot. But so I told him the Elliott Branch is, so if you're going clockwise, look for the big log to the left, kind of near where the trail on the other side descends to. I didn't see that at first and almost tried to cross the Elliott Branch where the trail entered it. Bad idea. It was pretty strong. Only ones that didn't have logs across that were the White River and the Coe Branch. But both of them were still very doable. So Kevin asks about the JMT. So did it meet expectations or exceed them? Is it your best hike so far? And I would say yes. I mean, I think I'm more of a fan, scenery-wise, of the Pacific Northwest. I like the green, I like the mountains, and I like the contrast between the two. The John Muir Trail was way more arid than I thought, actually, and there was way more sun. It was harder than I thought. Coming back from completing something like that, I just had such a buzz about getting through some of those difficult parts that I had, that it was definitely the best hike I've had so far, hands down, and also the longest one. So being out there that long was absolutely amazing. I mean, coming back home, it was weird to shower and stuff like that. And so that's hard to get when you're only doing like a weekend backpack or something like that. So definitely encourage anybody that's interested in it to try it and get it done. He also asks, how many miles a day, and was it too much or fine? So I think I came out to 17 and a half miles a day, and I beat my itinerary by 1 day. I think it was tough to come by. I think, you know, I did a lot of pre-training, but there was some things that I could have done better in the training phase, such as doing probably more step-ups and hiking actually uphill with weight in my pack instead of just walking around the block with the dogs, right? But it was manageable, and it was to the point where I was pushing my body past some perceived limits, but also not burning myself out, if that makes sense. So I was exhausted by the end of the days. I mean, just the up and the down and the terrain and the sun and the weather and the storms, and I mean, just everything. And I mean, I took no zeros. I took a Nero when I stayed at VVR, but every day I was hiking at least, I think my shortest day was 5 miles of hiking, and that was my Nero at VVR, and then my second shortest day was 11 and a half. So otherwise I was going, like I did 23 the last day, actually 25 because I forgot because I couldn't find the backpackers campground at Yosemite, damn you. And so I did a couple 20s here and there, and that really whipped me more than hiking in the Cascades. Here's a bonus from my roommate, Marcus. Is your mom going to continue to repost 40-minute videos on Facebook? That's actually hilarious because I don't know what happened, but I gave her the wrong one. She posted it, and I was like, oh no, Mom, it's this one. And then she posted the wrong one, but you know what? Mom's got my back. Love you, Mom. He also asked, where is Landlord currently? So Landlord is the guy that I hiked with, and he's in my kind of my JMT mashup video, the 5-minute one. Great guy. He called me last week, and he rested for a week, got back on trail near Lake Tahoe, and is continuing to go north. So probably hear from him again once he gets into Oregon, and I'll try to pick him up or do something for him. Well, the last question on this video is from Shelby on Instagram, and she asked, what app do you use for editing videos? So I use an app called KineMaster, and it's a free app. You can upload videos off of it, but it'll have the watermark, so you just got to pay a little bit a month to get rid of that, and then you get some other extra features. I have an iPhone. I just don't like iMovie, and I think that KineMaster is way more intuitive than iMovie. So that's what I'm going to continue to use, and I'm going to do a future video. And I told Shelby this because I keep pressing her to make videos, but I'm going to make a future video on how to use KineMaster kind of in basic form, and just kind of how I find music, how I cut clips together, how I decide which clips to use and stuff like that. So I think that might be kind of valuable. Appreciate you watching the video. If you have any other questions, please feel free to DM me on Instagram at Chattahoochee_, and I will either get back to you, or I'll get back to you and then also use it in a video, or I'll just use it in a video, but you'll get the question answered. I hope you found this valuable. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and thank you.